Believed to be the deadliest disaster in the history of Britain's state-run National Health Service since its inception in 1948.
Well, here it is. 7 volumes. There's quite a lot of detail in it.
Details laid bare in a 258 pages long bombshell report published on Monday by a public inquiry led by Brian Longstaff, revealing deliberate attempts to conceal the now infamous infected blood scandal and evidence that government officials destroyed documents in 1993. The said documents were on how British authorities and the Public Health Service knowingly exposed tens of thousands of patients to deadly infections through contaminated blood and blood products from the 1970s to the early 1990s.
They lost sight of what was known about the risks of viral infections from blood. Doctor knows best was such a strong belief that health departments did not issue guidance to curb the unsafe use of blood and blood products. Decision-making on measures that could make blood and blood products safer was put off, then dragged out unnecessarily, and failed to reach clear and decisive conclusions.
The report was subsequently followed by remarks by Rishi Sunak before the House of Commons, a heart-to-heart apology by the Prime Minister on behalf of the state.
This is a day of shame for the British state. Today's report shows a decades-long moral failure at the heart of our national life. From the National Health Service to the civil service, to ministers in successive governments, at every level, the people and institutions in which we place our trust failed in the most harrowing and devastating way. Today I want to speak directly to the victims and their families, some of whom are with us in the gallery. I want to make a wholehearted and unequivocal apology for this terrible injustice.
More than 30,000 people contracted hepatitis and HIV from infected blood and blood products, many derived from donations by high-risk groups such as prisoners which were pulled together. On top of the 3,000 who died, many more are currently living with lifelong health problems. After fighting for decades for justice, victims like Jackie Britton are now calling on for recompense for the terrible injustice they have continued to face.
The government and the NHS should have a duty of care towards us. They infected us, they've given us death sentences. We shouldn't have to be queued up for scans, and there should be best practice throughout the country, not a lottery of what hospital you go to. So until that is put in place for the infected, and hopefully if it's put in place it may prevent some early deaths, then money's nothing and talk's nothing.
The British government says a final compensation scheme is being set up. It says some victims will receive interim payments of around $267,000 before a scheme to pay comprehensive compensation is up and running, ideally by the end of the year. Najma Abdirizak, CGTN.